I woke up this morning and there was nothing coming out of my mouth, so I'm very thankful that I prayed. I'm like, give me something, just some voice. So we're just gonna do the best we can today. If you have any questions about anything I'm sharing, please let me know. But as John shared, my name is Samantha Shepard. I have been in business in the world of marketing for 23 years. My husband and I started our very first business venture back 23 plus years ago. And I really kind of fell in love with marketing. I have a degree, I went to Messiah, was Messiah College back then. I have a degree in marketing and advertising. And what I found was that marketing is a niche that every single business needs in order to grow. However, a lot of business owners have a lot of questions when it comes to, well, how do I market? What's a good fit for my business? Because you're so good at what you do specifically. Sometimes it's confusing on, well, how do I find my customers? What do I say to attract my customers? So before I even get started today, I'd love it if we could kind of go around and kind of everybody could introduce themselves and talk a little bit, maybe just share what business you're in. It'll also help me know how to give good examples, but then also kind of get to know each other a little bit. So would you like to start?
Hi everybody, my name is Allison. I'm kind of here on two fronts. So I do marketing for a small nonprofit over in Hanover. We're a home health agency. We're called Pen Cares, and I actually just started a small business as a dog trainer and pet sitter called The Goodest Boy, serving South Central PA.
That's awesome.
I'm Josh Jr., Restoration Relief. We're a 24/7 disaster response company, local to both York area here and Ephrata, Lancaster County. So we deal anything from fire, damage, water, smoke and odor, sewer, biohazard, anything crazy, storm damage. We offer free inspections with ballpark numbers.
I'm Ryan Swope. I'm also kind of here on two fronts a little bit. So I have a finance business, personal finance, investments, insurance, planning, that kind of stuff. And I also, my wife and I have a very, very small fledgling nonprofit that we started about a year ago, and we're just doing kind of pop-up stuff, help the community here and there, but we're looking to eventually get to a point where we have purchased and are running our own camp. So that's the end goal of the nonprofit, but the nonprofit would probably use John's help with the website, and then definitely get some marketing help down the road, I'm sure. So
Love it.
John Holmes with Integrated Consulting. We do site building design. I'm a licensed civil engineer in Pennsylvania, Maryland. Predominantly site design, small group that does building design. We do all size projects. I have a 6-unit townhouse infill project. We do work for sheets. We have a 973,000 square foot warehouse up in Wilkes-Barre that we're doing site design for. So
Wow.
all size projects, residential, commercial, institutional. We do a fair amount of work for schools. Sub-consultant to turf track and court out of Hershey. That's a lot of recreational facilities. We're involved in a project that's getting started under
That's
construction
awesome.
at West York Schools locally. We have work projects with Upper Island, County, some other school districts around South Central Pennsylvania. So pretty diverse group. There's a little over 20 of us. They're in their 8th year. They brought them out about 3 years ago because they have a lot of really good young talent, but
Wow.
not so like we've been through the water back. Handle difficult projects, different
That's awesome.
clients, and also work at work.
I love that. I'm glad you're here.
My name is Kay Donato, and I am the outreach director for Women's Care Center. It's a nonprofit in the city by the fairgrounds. We've actually been there for, well, not in that exact location, but we've been in York for 36 years. But
Wow.
but people just really don't know about us. So that's why we're hoping to increase our social media presence and learn as much as I can here.
I love that. That's awesome.
I'm Paul Gallo, and I'm John's father, and I'm here for lunch.
Love it. Man of honesty and directness. I like that. So, well, thank you guys for spending your lunch with us today. I really appreciate it. What I teach, everything I teach is from a place of simplicity. As business owners, as those in the professional world, I think having one more cumbersome thing you have to do is not needed. So everything I teach when it comes to how to efficiently market yourself, your business, your organization is from a very simple mindset, because I really feel a lot of people in the marketing industry overcomplicate it. So I'm going to be talking with you today about a simple 4-step framework called the Profit Marketing Framework that I created many, many years ago. This has actually been the exact same framework my husband and I have used to build our huge financial brokerage in the last 2 decades. Everything I do is something I've personally tried myself, because I am a big advocate. I want to try something, see if it works, and if it does, how can I make it easier to help my clients and help other business owners achieve success faster. So it's going to be talking today about how to really implement a real structure. You see a lot of business owners, when they think of marketing, they think of just throwing stuff out there. There's not really a lot of time or plan or intention put behind what they're saying. So I'm going to talk about how to implement a real structure into your marketing and your messaging that feels very clear. As we were sharing a little bit ago, if people are confused, nothing's going to happen, because confused people, they just don't buy. They freeze and they just move on, because if they're overwhelmed in just trying to learn about who you are and what you do, nothing is really going to happen. And that clarity is what really builds confidence. And then that confidence is actually how you're going to attract paying clients. So these are the simple 4 stages in the Profit Marketing Framework. And we're going to kind of dive into these a little bit today. It's building your foundation, having simple attraction strategies and principles in place. It's connecting with people. How can you build that trust in that relationship? But then also it's conversion. A lot of people, they want to go from here to here, and they want to skip this part, right? Well, I just want to put a post out and I want to get a sale. I want someone to go to my website and just buy everything from me. This is actually one of the most key elements when it comes to marketing, especially in today's digital world, where there's so much of communication and conversations that are started through some kind of a digital source. A lot of people are skipping the power of the connection, getting to know people in your community, having conversations, being social on social media, for example. No longer is it someone sees it and they buys right away. Now, does that happen? 100%. But I'm going to talk today a lot about how you can build a solid foundation strategy through these 4 steps that's repeatable. And that's the biggest thing, is when you know how you're building your strategy and how you're guiding customers or donors or sponsors through and you guys have nonprofits, right? Like, you're not just looking for customers, you're also looking for donors, sponsors, volunteers, right? Well, that's all part of how we build that into this entire structure, okay? Because systems are really how your strategies work. Without a system, everything is going to fall. So a little bit about myself. I have actually been very blessed to be in business for over 23 years, as I had mentioned. I have founded many different courses and programs over the years. My husband and I have actually been very blessed to build a 7-figure business only using simple strategies. Right? I think success is something that a lot of people define just by dollars. I define success as having impact. And that is the reason why about 4 or 5 years ago, I started an independent marketing firm outside of what I was already doing, because I love working with small companies. I love working with the community, people in the community. I like having that person to person. I actually do not work with corporations and huge companies on purpose, because I feel there's too much red tape and there's not enough opportunity to really connect and make sure that your voice and your message and your system are exactly what you want to have happen in your business. So before I can even train or even teach about these 4 stages, I think it's really important for us to understand what are some of the biggest mistakes that businesses and organizations make. And this is not something where it's to be embarrassed or be like, oh, I'm making all the mistakes. In order for us to grow, we first have to understand and recognize, are there certain areas that I need to shift or pivot so that I can have more success faster? So the first mistake that I see people go through is they always come to me and they're like, it's so frustrating. Everything is frustrating. Well, why is it frustrating? It's frustrating because you have no structure. Putting a random post together and just putting it out there is not going to ever create the results that you'd like. If you don't have a strategy behind, well, what are you putting in your content? What are you putting in your email marketing? What are you putting on your website? If there's no strategy or intention behind that, you're just going to be more and more frustrated. If you're trying to talk to everyone, now this is one of the biggest ones that people always They don't like me very much. Or I make them uncomfortable when I say, who is your target customer? Have you guys ever had someone ask you that? Who is your target customer? Who is your client avatar, right? It's not just a cliche term in the area of marketing your business. It is because specifically in today's digital age, if you're trying to talk to everybody, you're going to get lost in the shuffle and you're going to be easily forgotten. You have got to have a niche idea of who your target customers are, because then you'll know where they're showing up, so you know where to show up. Then you'll know what words or phrases or things to discuss, because that's important to them. And this is one of the things, especially since 2020 happened. So prior to 2020, many of you have actually been in the business world prior to 2020, right? Prior to that, most of what you did to market or network was usually the zip codes you're willing to drive to, right? Does that sound pretty accurate? Like if I'm willing to drive to them, I could meet them, I can drive to a networking meeting. There really wasn't a massive push or presence on social media for businesses in the marketing world. Then 2020 happened, and now you're forced to find your people in this vast, vast space where now there's millions of people. How do I find my customers? How do I find my donors? How do I find my audience? What am I supposed to say to them? How do I attract them? How do I get them to read my content? How do I get them to open my emails, right? You have got to be specific on who you're trying to talk to. And that's one of the biggest areas that makes a lot of people I work with uncomfortable, because it's the first question I ask, right? And Ryan and I, him and my husband have been in the same industry. Who do you work with? Oh, he easily could say, I work with everybody. And I would lovingly go to Ryan and say, no, you don't. And he would say, no, Sam, I do. I can help everybody. And I would lovingly reply, you don't want everybody as your client. You want the right people in your business, which means you need to talk to those people. Now, here's the beautiful thing about that. If Ryan comes to me and says, you know what, I want to work with families 30 to 45, they've got kids, they've got jobs, they have homes, they're running in between practices, and he wants to help them with their finances and make that part of their life easier and less chaotic, he needs to know how to specifically talk to those people. Because if Ryan's trying to talk to someone 25 and someone 65 about their financial situation, how much do they really have in common? Probably not much, right? Different incomes, different financial goals, different frustrations. So for his business, if he's trying to match a 40-year gap, everything he says is going to be what I call vanilla marketing. Very blah. No one's going to really, they might read his content and say, oh, that's nice, and just keep going. Part of having a strategy with your marketing is having a specific messaging that you're speaking to the people that they're realizing you understand me, I connect with you, I like you, I want to learn more. But that's the biggest first mistake I see is they're trying to talk to everybody. Another one is they're inconsistent. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs are inconsistent because they have no strategy. They're inconsistent. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to put on my website. I don't know what to say in my emails. I don't know what to put in my content. I don't know what to say at networking meetings. When you have a specific idea of all those things, guess what? It's easier to stay consistent because you know who you're talking to, what you're saying, and why. So that's why these are the biggest reasons why I see people are very frustrated when it comes to marketing their business. All of that can be fixed, okay? So if any of you are like, oh crap, that's me, it's good. I'm gonna kind of walk you through some stuff today. But because most people are in that desperate mode. I have no sales coming in, I've gotta get more sales. I'm gonna put like 10 posts out in the next 2 days, and it's not gonna create anything but frustration and overwhelm for your audience, right? The reason why I'm doing this masterclass today and I talk about the profit marketing framework is because I want you to shift your mindset from being a reactive person to a proactive marketer. When you're a proactive marketer, you have intention behind what you're saying and why. There is no more random put out there. When you have intention behind everything that you're putting together, that's when change actually happens. Marketing becomes emotional when it's not systemized. I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out. But in order to get those leads that you want, in order to get that unlimited opportunity to open the door for customers, you have to have a strategy in place. And that's what we're going to talk to today, because success is never by accident. If you guys have ever seen successful business owners online, on social media, you've read their books, Every single one of them have achieved whatever level of success they have because they were very purposeful in what they were saying, where they were saying it, who they were saying it to, and why. And that's why we're going to dive into this today. You don't want random posts. You don't want inconsistency. You don't want burnout. This is the biggest thing that I see with businesses that have no strategy. Their revenue is up and down and up and down and up and down. For a lot of nonprofits, their donations are up and down and up and down. Wouldn't it be nice to have more consistency with that and to have your business and organization be more predictable? That's where having a strategy really makes a huge difference. With a strategy, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys today, now you have a focus. You're never going to have to wake up anymore and look at your phone and be like, what am I going to post today? I don't know what to post today. And then you scroll. Okay, no, I really got to post. Come back. What am I going to post? I got to send that email. What am I going to say in the email, right? Have you guys ever done that?
I've never done that.
You've never experienced that, right?
All the time.
You wake up and you're like, I know exactly what I'm putting out into the world today, and I know why. But this happens all the time. My record, I think the record a client told me is that before we started working together, he would spend 2 hours a day trying to figure out what to post. A day, 2 hours. I can't even comprehend that. Why? He had no strategy. He had no idea what he was doing. He had no brand. He had no messaging. Everything was random. He was just crossing his fingers and living on hope and a prayer, right? But when every post has a purpose, every email has a purpose, every website messaging has a purpose, calls to action have a purpose. Now you're able to create measurable growth. Now you're able to really have more momentum built, because with marketing, that consistency is what builds that momentum, okay? So this is kind of really, I want to give you a couple examples of clients that I've worked with who've implemented this framework who were in that before situation. My first client was Lena, so before the profit marketing framework. She was incredibly passionate about her business. It was she's an amazing woman. She had kind of clear goals of an idea of who she wanted to work with, no marketing plan. She literally said, Sam, I'm living on hope and a prayer. I hope I post and someone responds. That was her strategy, right? But she didn't know about what to do next. Her biggest question was, I just don't know what the next steps are. After working with me, she went from 0 to 260 people on her email list within 2 months. She grew her social media following by over 670 people in a few months. And she started a private community on Facebook, and she added over 300 people there. But the biggest thing for me is she 10x'd her income in 12 months. No strategy. She used this 4-step framework, okay? Let's look at Clarissa. Clarissa is a very, very experienced, she's actually in the financial industry. She says she's been around for a while. She's not a new business owner. And she came to me and she said, I just feel like what I've been doing isn't working. She's been in the industry for over 10 years. Very service related. And what she does, it requires a very high level of trust, right? She's helping families and business owners with their finances. So she has to get people to trust her and like her to give all their personal information. She had some social strategies in place. But they weren't producing any results, and she just felt stuck. She just felt like her business kind of flatlined. After we actually, we grew her impressions on social media to over 30,000. They were less than half of that prior to working with us. She went from 40,000 views on social media in a month to over 85,000 views, and she's now bringing in weekly clients and referrals. No strategy. The framework is the same, but how we implement it in the different types of messaging, your target customers, that's what I customize. I'm also a big believer in only teaching what I know is gonna work. Many of you probably are doing what you're doing because you had some kind of a personal experience in that and had a passion before it, okay? But when you replace chaos with actual structure, now you have that consistent leads. Now your business becomes more and more predictable. You're gonna have more confidence. A lot of people are not marketing themselves as effectively as they could because they just don't have the confidence in what they're saying, right? Confidence is created through doing, right? Like my daughter, for example, we were talking, she's an EMT, okay? She's 18 years old. She's going out on these ambulances with, people who've been in the industry for years. And her first couple weeks, she's a very confident person, but she was a little intimidated. Now she can run calls and not even think twice. Why? She's still 18, But she's done it over and over. She's learning, she implemented what she's learning, and she's building that confidence through doing, through having someone teach her and instruct her. Now that confidence is completely different when she meets those patients. Okay, in my business, and I'm a big believer in full disclosure, this is what's happened in my business. I 10x my income in less than 2 years, 191% Facebook growth. I do have an online community as well, which is a really powerful tool for a lot of businesses and organizations these days. I have weekly messages that come to me now. I wake up and I just have people coming to me, and 164% email growth. And it's not because I posted more. I posted 2-3 times a day. It's none of that. It's because I live what I preach. I live what I teach, right? And that's really what I want for all of you. Marketing feels hard. We've talked about this. It's not because you're not putting in the effort. It's just because of the lack of structure. And I think that's something really important for us to recognize, because a lot of people who are in business and running organizations, they're like, I am working so hard. I'm not lazy. I know that. It's just we need to kind of tweak your structure a little bit, right? How is that messaging? How is that strategy? And kind of pulling everything together. This is what I was talking about a little bit ago, okay? You're going to be exhausted and frustrated if you're constantly reacting instead of being proactive. I have a customer right now that I'm working with, and they've had a business in the industry for over 90 years, and they have 2 women on their staff who handle a lot of marketing and social media. And the owner came to me and said, I'm just really frustrated. I feel like nothing's happening. So I met with her team and I asked them, how do you decide what to put on social media? Well, we just go to the competitors and see what they're posting, and then we post something like that. That's reactive, right? Versus, so it's a great area for us to work on now. We're working on becoming, you don't want to copy what your competitors are doing. That's great for market research, but you want your marketing, your messaging, your content, your emails has to be in line with your goals. Your business goals determine the strategies you use and the messaging that you share. I think a lot of times people think, well, if I just post a bunch or send a bunch of emails and network in the community, I'm automatically going to have a lot of business. Where in essence, you have to start with the end in mind. What are your goals? You work backwards, and that's how you determine your strategies. And that's, I think, a twist that a lot of people don't expect. They think, well, if I just post a lot, if I just send a lot of emails, if I network a lot, well, what are you saying in that content? What are you saying in those emails? What are you saying when you network with people? You go to a networking event, you have a one-on-one with someone. What are you guys talking about? What you're saying has to be in line with the goals, and that's why having a strategy is important. Having a system in place that creates consistency, the decision fatigue, this is probably like, how many of you have to figure out what to feed your family for dinner every night? It's exhausting. Like, some of you are like, I don't have to deal with that, and you're very blessed. That decision fatigue is not just a personal thing, it's also a business thing. If you're constantly having to decide, versus if you say, I already have my content structure, I already have my email campaigns planned out, they're based on our goals, all we have to do is implement, the decision fatigue goes away. I dare I say you guys would actually enjoy marketing. You'd actually love sharing your business. You'd love posting online. How many of you can honestly say you don't like it right now? Anybody? It's like, it's not really fun. Yeah, and that's real, that's real. So that's why when you have a system, all that, it actually totally changes it, okay? Here are the risks that you have of not having a framework. And we've already talked about all that. We're just gonna keep going, okay? All right, so this 4-step system is gonna give you these things. It's gonna allow you to have clarity. It's gonna allow you to actually have consistency. You're gonna be able to generate consistent leads for your business, okay? And it's gonna drive those conversions so you have more sales and clients coming in. The 4 stages are foundation, attract, connect, and convert. That's it. It does, and I don't care if you've been in business 5 minutes or 25 years. I've worked with businesses who are brand new, and I've worked with ones who've been around for a very long time but feel like nothing's actually changing. This is the first conversation that we have. So let's talk about what those stages look like. So foundation. This is the piece that most people skip. You cannot ignore having a strong foundation with your company, your organization, or your business, because everything you do is gonna fall flat, it's gonna break if you don't have your foundation built. So your foundation is built on something I like to call the 3 Ps of marketing. It's your people, your platforms, and your processes. The people are doing a deep dive. Who are my people? Who am I trying to attract? Now, a couple of you probably have different types of people. Like you probably have volunteers, sponsors, donors, right? Would that be pretty accurate? Okay. So the messaging might be a little different for those people, but you know this is who I'm trying to talk to, right? When you know who you're talking to, what you're saying becomes 10,000 times easier, right? Versus the example I used with Ryan, if he's trying to talk to a 25-year-old and a 65-year-old, how is he going to know what to write that's going to connect with both those people that are completely opposite, right? You have to identify your platforms. Now, platforms, a lot of people associate platforms with just social media. Platforms are social media, email marketing, networking, business connecting, blogs, podcasts. There's lots of different types of platforms, okay? You do not need to utilize every single platform to have success. That's a big misconception in marketing right now. Well, I have to talk to everybody in all the places all the time to have any kind of success. That is the definition for a recipe for frustration. That's where people hate marketing. They're like, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted, no one's talking back to me, and I'm not doing this anymore. But if you know who your people are and you have identified the top 2 platforms that you know where your people are showing up the most, and you spend a majority of your time on those 2 platforms, now you're gonna see change. Now, if you're a one-person show running all the hats and doing all the things, it's going to be difficult for you to really be able to utilize all these. If you're on 2, 3, 4, 5 platforms, it's going to be harder for you to have any impact because specifically with social media, it's not just a post and ghost. It's not, I checked my box for marketing today, put my post up, spent 2 minutes doing it, and now I'm off for the rest of the day. You have to spend time actually posting and engaging and being social on social media. Networking, for example. You go to a networking meeting tomorrow, you meet a bunch of people. Check the box, did my networking for the month. Is that going to create any change? No. What do you have to do to make that platform work for your business?
Follow up, set up appointments, and have one-on-ones.
Yep. Now imagine if you were in 5 networking groups. Are you going to have the time in your schedule to follow up, to have conversations, and set up appointments with all of the, now if that was your only role, that was your only job, that's one thing. But I would venture to say you probably have other things on your plate besides just that, right? So it's fine tuning where are my people and investing your time into that, okay? I actually used to be in 6 networking groups. This was a long time ago. My husband, he works with people all the time, but he actually doesn't like people that much. He's not a very big talker, which is kind of funny. So I went and did all the networking. I was so burnt out that I was checking all the boxes and going to all these networking meetings, but I never had enough time to really dive deep into relationships because I didn't have time to meet with all the people from all. You got to fine tune it. And sometimes that means you have to say no to things that are not profitable or bringing a good ROI for your company. And that's hard sometimes. You don't, well, what if I meet someone over here? You've got to identify the best platforms. So it's people, platforms, and processes. Processes are how frequent are you using or showing up on those platforms to talk to your people. So in the world of social media, for example, people always ask me, what's the magic number, right? Can you keep me on time? Okay. I need like to tell me, give me a warning or whatever. I can talk about marketing forever, but I know you guys don't want to spend your whole afternoon with me. When it comes to processes, especially with social media, people ask me, what's the magic number to post? The first answer is, it's the number that you know you can be consistent with. For some people, it's, I have no problem posting every day. For other people, they're like, maybe 3 times a week. You have to start with a number you can be consistent with, because consistency has a major impact specifically with impressions and recognition with your audience. That's with social media, that's with emails, and that's with networking, okay? If I'm in a networking organization and I go twice a year, is anyone gonna have any idea who I am? No. If I'm posting once a week online, is anybody gonna even remember who I am? Because there's over 50,000 posts a day put up on social media. Am I gonna stand out? No. You've gotta have that process. Okay, so that's the people, the platforms, and the processes. Those are the first 3 things you have to really dive into to really set that foundation. And then that's what allows you to figure out what's my messaging, what's my positioning, how am I different? This is the one that people get stuck on. How are you different from everybody else who does what you do? What makes your organization unique? What do you stand out? What do you offer that will make someone say, wow, I really want to talk to you about your organization? That's in your messaging. So these are the things that when it comes to building that foundation, when you have this built, it makes all the other stages a lot easier. Okay, now we move on to the second stage, which is attract. This is now where you're using your messaging, you're using your platforms, you're talking to your people. Now you're putting together strategic content. And content, this is content in your emails, content on your website, content on social media, okay? One of the biggest things that I like to share with my clients is if you can figure out how to put together a 30-day content plan by building out a content calendar. This is probably one of the most common things I do most frequently with clients, is we build out their content calendar. And that's where you are intentionally saying, this is what I'm sharing on Mondays, this is what I'm sharing Tuesdays, and it's basically deciding what's called a content pillar or a content topic. If you knew, like for example, you joked with the whole dinner thing, right? If you knew every Sunday is this meal, every Monday is this meal, every Tuesday, that just, you know what you're making for dinner, right? It's, now you get bored with that maybe, but it's, exactly, you're much more confident and less stressed about what's for dinner because you know what you're making for every single night. Guys, your content's the same way. If you know exactly every Monday is this topic, every Tuesday is this topic, every Thursday is this topic, now that overwhelming feeling of, oh my word, what am I gonna, now you have intention behind it. And now you have purpose. Lead magnets are also a great way for you to attract people. Lead magnets are, it could be a resource, it could be a mini course, it could be a workbook, it could be a checklist. It's something that you feel would be valuable or of interest to your target audience that would grab their attention, okay? So for example, you and I were speaking earlier about mold, right? What if you had a checklist that said the top 10 things to check your home to see if you have mold? Most people have no idea. They're just like, I don't know, or they're blissfully ignorant. And they're like, I think I'm fine, like my parents, right? But imagine if it was specifically a giveaway, like a checklist for homeowners, and they go through this checklist and they're like, oh crap, I have 6 out of these 10. And you're like, in the very bottom, like, hey, if you have questions, contact our office, we'll come out and we'll do a consult, right? It's grabbing the attention. When it comes to social media, that is rented space. None of us own social media. At least I don't think any of us own social media. We don't own Facebook or LinkedIn, right? You cannot leave all of your communication with people online because it's a very risky place to be. You have to have a way to pull their attention off of a social platform and either drive them to your website, your email list, or your CRM system, right? How do you do that? What's the easiest bridge between social media and a platform that you own? Is lead magnets. Lead magnets are kind of like that bridge, okay? So that's a great thing for you guys to brainstorm. If you don't have any kind of resource or item right now that you can offer to grab the attention, it's something that I'd love to, if any of you guys have questions, we could talk about that. But lead magnets has to be something that's addressing their concern. So for example, one of my lead magnets is a 14-day content calendar. And it's, hey, I'm gonna basically write your next 2 weeks of content for you. And people are like, can I see it? Yeah, sure, here's a link, put your email address in, I'll send it to you. Quick and easy, right? You have to have multiple lead entry points. You can't just have one place that somebody finds you. Now, when I'm talking about attraction, have you guys heard of the term, like 5 to thrive? Like you've probably heard that. It's sometimes say 5 to stay alive. And I'm like, that sounds desperate. So I shifted, it's 5 to thrive. What would be 5 ways that you can, where do you meet your people, right? I personally only focus on 3 because I think 5's a lot. But where are the top 3 places that you meet people? It can be social media. It can be networking events. It can be one-on-one with just contacting business owners. It can be lead magnets, which is an entry point through social media. Maybe it's virtual and online networking. You need to have at least 3 ways that you are meeting people. That gives you that diversity. Do you guys remember, I think it was 2-3 years ago, Facebook and Instagram went black. Does anybody remember that day? Do you remember that day? Mm-hmm. Like it was dead. Platforms were down, couldn't log in, they were not working. It was like, and everyone's freaking out. Like, I can't get on Facebook, I can't get on. When you are only relying on that for your entire business, it's a scary place to be. I didn't even skip a beat. I'm like, whatever, I'll just do this, this, and this today, right? You've got to have diversity in where you're meeting people. So I'd encourage you guys, if you don't have at least 3 entry points where you're meeting people and introducing them to your organization or to your business, I would encourage you to think about that, because that's going to give you a lot more stability, okay? Now let's talk about connection. Connection is the way that you are able to build relationships, trust, and start conversations with people that opens the door for conversions. You have to understand you're a person first. Even if you're not the owner of your company or organization, people buy you first before they ever buy into hearing anything you have to say about what you do. And a lot of people forget that, especially in today's digital world, if all you're talking about is business, 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 you're leaving potential leads, clients, donors, volunteers on, you're just leaving them out there. Because if they don't at least feel like they know you a little bit, you're going to be held back on being able to have that growth, okay? Conversation-driven content. There's something that I teach called the ABC framework, and this is kind of how you write your content. So if you guys, if we would open everyone get your phones out for a second, and just pick a platform that you're on. I'm going to pick Facebook, for example. And just kind of start scrolling a little bit. Ignore all the ads that are on there, because there's lots of ads and sponsored, right? But find a post of somebody, okay? So I'm gonna pick my friend Sue. What is drawing me to this piece of content? Well, she's got some great pictures, okay? Pictures are everything when it comes to social media specifically. They're very eye-catching. But she also started it with, wow, what a morning. And I'm freaking nosy, and I want to, why is she having a good morning? I'm gonna now click on it and read her post, right? She actually does a really good job in here at writing her content, but I want you to think of this. What makes you just keep scrolling by someone's post? Maybe they have bad pictures. Maybe the picture is overwhelming. Maybe the first line isn't grabbing your attention. Like this one says, I created a profile. That doesn't have it. Okay, good for you. Right? The ABC framework is this. It's an attention-grabbing hook, something that's gonna stop the scroll, right? Like here, a gentle reminder for our wedding guests, okay? Guess what? If I know that person and is talking about the wedding, that's gonna grab my attention. It's an attention-grabbing hook, is the A. B is the body of your post. What are you actually sharing and saying in the post? But the part that almost everybody forgets is the C, which is a call to action. You have to have something that's going to drive that conversation to bring them into the conversation. Every single time that you post or somebody else posts, it's kind of like saying hello in a digital coffee shop. Now what? You want someone to say hello back, AKA like your post, heart your post, or comment on your post. You have to have questions, some kind of a question at the bottom of the post, some kind of action-oriented thing. Hey, I have this masterclass coming up. It's totally free. Drop the word info below. If I'm talking to my people and they want that, they're going to drop info below. Too many times, guys, we position ourselves as educators, not the solution. You have to kind of pivot. I have a lot of people who think they think they have conversation-driven content on their socials, but they don't. They're teaching, they're sharing, look at everything I know, look at all these licenses I have, look at my experience, me. And people are like, I don't care. How can you help me? Why should I call you? What is in it for me to reply to this post, send you a DM, or talk to you? You have to shift from being an educator only to having them see you as the solution. That's how you really drive this. Email marketing is a huge asset right now. Email inboxes are a lot less crowded, and people are more likely to look at an email over the 10,000 notifications on their Facebook feed, right? DM engagement. Now, this is a question I'm very curious. How many of you actually avoid DMing people on social media? You avoid people. Okay, why do you avoid DMing people? Anybody want to share? This is always a fun question.
I don't want to sound, no disrespect, but I've known a lot of people that get involved in multi-level marketing, and all they do is just DM everybody. Hey, get started, let's do this. Yep. It's just, you just want to avoid sounding spammy, I think.
Yep, okay. What else? What are the reasons why you guys avoid the DMs? There's no wrong
I don't
answer.
want to feel like a cheap piece of whatever out there.
Okay.
My value, my time, and my relationships, and I don't want to just spill the candy.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Any reasons why you avoid the DMs? Those are the most common answers, by the way. That is exactly why most people avoid this. But DMing someone is the first opportunity you have to have a private one-on-one connection with someone to earn their trust before they'll most likely give you their personal information, which is their phone number and their email address. A lot of times we think, I'm going to put this post out and everyone's going to give me their information. You haven't really built that trust up yet. The DM is a beautiful bridge between grabbing attention on social media and having a one-on-one conversation. So one of the things that I teach my clients is, how can we use the DMs as the authentic conversation place that it should be? How do we connect with people? How can we use that as a space where you're not just jumping right in asking for the business? You actually talk to people, start a conversation there. You guys all were just scrolling on here. Did you realize every single thing that people are posting, they're telling you what's going on in their life. They're telling you, this is what I'm interested in. This is what's making me laugh. This is what I'm going through. They're literally telling you what to ask them questions about in the DMs. It is the most beautiful thing, and your worlds are all full of stalkers. Every single one of you. I'm a stalker, you're a stalker, you're a stalker. We all stalk people, do we not? What are they up to today? And you're reading everybody. So when you know that you're a stalker and that you have stalkers, it's the only place you want a stalker, by the way, is on social media. But because people are watching you. They're watching, what are you saying? What are you sharing? Who are you as a person? You're building that trust without ever saying a word to them. So that's why, going back to the attraction section, you have to know what you're saying. You have to have intention behind what you're sharing, personal and professional content, right? But when it comes to the DMs, there's an actual beautiful science behind how to start a conversation with someone in a DM. And when you start it with a personal connection or talking about something they just posted about, they're much more likely to talk about you. For example, I have 2 puppies. Don't ask me why we got 2 puppies. My daughters were very good sales ladies. Okay, we have 2 puppies at home. If anybody wants to talk to me at all or start a conversation, ask me about the puppies. I'm posting about the puppies. It's in my life. It's chaos. I love them. You send me a DM about the puppies, I'm gonna talk to you because you're asking me a question about something going on in my life. And now we talk back and forth. Guess what I'm gonna do? Well, I wonder what she's like. I'm gonna go to your profile. What is she like? What does she do? What is she about? It's deepening that connection. And after a couple back and forth, if you say, hey, I see that you're also in my area. I'm sure you looked at my page just like I looked at yours. We're looking to connect with other women in the area for my organization. Would you be open to a conversation? I am going to be 10 times more likely to be like, sure, let's hop on a call. Because we had a connection first. She didn't just jump into my DMs and said, hey, we need donors. We need sponsors. Can you do this? Most people do DMing backwards. They go in with the business first, and that's how people feel icky and spammy. But when you actually get to know people and learn how to create the connection and start the conversations, I cannot wait to talk to people in the DMs. I love it now. Why? Because I know that connection is creating something of substance, which is going to in turn help build that community, but you're not going to be the icky, weird, salesy person. Okay. And then the last one is conversion. Okay. Everybody wants the end result. Okay. Everybody wants the sales, the clients, the money in the inbox. Having said that, where do the sales come from? Clients. Clients come from conversations. Conversations come from leads. Leads are in your business because you've attracted them, and you're only going to attract them if your marketing foundation and strategy is set. So everybody they want the end, but they want to skip all those parts. So now that as I get ready to wrap up, now do you see how when you have these 4 pillars working together, you're leading people down the path to become customers, to become clients. And you're doing it in an authentic and relationship-focused way that you're never gonna have to be that icky, weird salesperson, right? Most of the times, guys, we have to pivot our thinking is I'm not trying to sell something, I'm trying to serve. And when you know that your focus is to serve first, the sales become so natural But this is something that a lot of people, they just want to skip everything else. But this is where the clients become, this is where the leads become clients. You have to have a pathway to lead somebody down to go from hello to customer. But most people, they just like, I just want the customer. I'm like, okay, let's make it easy. Have a strategy, have structure to walk people down that path, okay? So what makes this system different? It's simple, it's 4 steps. Notice I didn't go through some 10-step strategy and you guys are like, oh my word, there's no freaking way I can do this, right? It's 4 steps. It is designed for real life. It is not designed for someone that has 30 hours in their day, right? People that have busy schedules. It's supposed to be flexible. It's supposed to be focused on progress and intention. And it's this program, this framework is to grow with you and your organization. It's easy to implement and pivot because if you have a 10-step plan to your marketing strategy, you have one thing change in your business, you have to change all these different things. This framework is designed specifically to really help you know what to do and then implement what you do. How many of you have ever done like a marketing course, or you've watched something online, or you read a book, listened to a podcast, right? You can learn a lot of stuff and know a lot of stuff, but knowing without action is never going to create the growth and the change that you want. So you have to learn something and then take action to implement it if you really want to have the results. This is something that I think a lot of people, and I'm going to close with this, but I think a lot of people that I speak with, they're like, I feel like I should know more about this. I feel like I don't have a background in this like you, Sam. Here's the cool thing is you don't have to know everything about everything. You just have to have the right resources and people in your life to help you implement the goals that you have for your business so they can actually happen. So I'm going to stop there. I'm actually impressed my voice held out a little bit. I don't normally sound like a haggard, like a scratchy voice, but I want to open up to you guys. If you have any questions for me, I'm actually really curious was there any kind of like aha moments where you're like, well, I never thought about it that way. I'd love to hear from you guys and help where I can.
So this is a weird, transparent question. I have done, and I've heard some of your stuff before, but I've had very inconsistent social media presences throughout the years. I'd get a good plan go for a little while, and then it'd fall off. And I had like an individual group kind of thing, Facebook. I had a couple, like 150 people, whatever, and then that fell off. And it's like, so I guess my question is, and I've noticed I wasted for a long time, a lot of time on social media. Mm-hmm. So a couple months ago, I got to the point where I got rid of Instagram, I got rid of Facebook off my phone. Like, I don't do anything outside of really, like, Facebook's the only social media platform I'm on really at all anymore. And it's not even on my phone. I just do it through a computer. Like, is it still reasonable to build a good social media presence without even on your phone? I mean, you just have, I guess, specific time to the day that you sit down at the computer to do it. So I hate being tied to my phone. Like, that's one thing I'm actually trying to get away from more.
Yeah, and that's actually a really common question. People ask me how much time a day should I be putting on, especially if you're using social media platforms as a way to grow your business and your audience. I honestly really feel that if you spend less than 60 minutes a day to market your business, if you're doing the right things with the intention, you don't need to be on your phone for hours a day. So for example, if I'll just use Facebook, and we'll use Facebook, okay? If you have an intentional piece of content, you put your content out there, and then you stay on that platform for 15 to 20 minutes before or after you post, and you're intentionally engaging with people, then I'm gonna show you in a minute who, that chunk of time is good. You don't need to spend hours and hours and hours on social media to grow your business. Now, having said that, if you don't have a lot of activity going on, and you don't have a lot of clients, and you will need to invest more time until you create that activity, right? But I think the biggest thing that people don't realize is that when you guys open your phones, every single one of you opened your phones, right? All of our feeds are gonna look different, okay? All of them are gonna look different. Everything that you open your phone and see is what the algorithm has determined based on your previous watching habits, what you're scrolling on, what you're clicking on. They're determining this is what Ryan wants to see, so we're gonna throw that in his feed. These are people that he's talking to, we're gonna put it in the feed. You can train the algorithm to be really efficient for you. Oh, that's my husband. I didn't realize his post was up. I do with social media, by the way. He hates social media, so I do it. But if you go into your Facebook account and you look at your digital warm market, every single one of you has a digital warm market. That's your current friends, followers, and connections on your platforms. It's not a cold market. You go into that list and you say, who are 10 to 20 to 30 people who I'm already connected with that I would like to build a relationship with, that I want them as a customer. You put them on your top 20, top 30 list. And now when you hop in here and you put up your post, instead of randomly scrolling and just engaging with the content the algorithm is pushing at you, you go to the search bar and you put in those people's names. So if it's Sarah Thayer, Ashley Schweitzer, Ben Shepard, John Gallo, you're now going to their page, spending around 30 seconds, liking, hearting, commenting on their content, maybe send them a DM. What this does is it triggers the algorithm to say, oh, these people want to talk. I want them on the platform as long as possible. So now I'm going to push Ryan's content to them, and I'm going to push their content to Ryan, and guess what's going to start coming up on your feed? Now you have an elevated visibility presence with them and vice versa, all because you spent 15 to 20 minutes purposely engaging with people that you want to be connected with, and you want to see your stuff, right? It doesn't have to take 3 hours a day. Okay. Now, a great way for you guys to determine that already is if you guys go into your stories or your posts, it'll tell you who's looking at your content. Have any of you ever done that? You go into your stories or you go into your posts and you click view, it'll tell you who's viewing your content. When you start seeing names popping up over and over, those are people who are leaning into your content. They're coming back, they're reading, they might not be commenting, they might not be liking your posts, but they're going to your stories and they're going to your posts and they're reading, they're leaning in. Those are your hot leads without even actually taking any interactions or any comments. Then what you do is you see someone, oh, they pop up like every day. Now you send them a DM. Hey, I saw that you've been paying attention to what I'm sharing. I just want to say thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. I really look forward to getting to know you. Heck, you can go to their profile, ask a question about something they posted. Do you see how it's not random, right? So I honestly make an appointment with myself every day. I have a 60-minute appointment with myself, and it's just my marketing hour. And I go into my platforms, put my content up, I engage, I send DMs, I comment on people's stuff. And that's where you can be really efficient with your time. Now, if you don't have an hour, do it for 30 minutes, right? I try to spend 20, 30 minutes on each platform. My top two are Facebook and Instagram. So I'll spend 15, 20, 30 minutes on each of those, and I get on with the rest of my day. Right? So it can be very efficient, but you don't have to spend your entire day sucked into a screen. So, what other questions do you guys, can you think of any? Or you're processing?
I utilize LinkedIn a good amount. I got several of my top producers from LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just finding target markets or target companies to work with, and just being able to find those the right people to speak with, and that's been really good. But I'm not a real techie person, and so I stick with a couple of things that I can figure out a little bit, and I rely on our marketing lady who posts things or whatever, and then I just hit repost or whatever occasionally.
Yeah.
I personally don't do a lot of that stuff for our company, but I just kind of rely on her to do the bulk of it. But I'm definitely going to be pushing your stuff to her, reach out.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to her. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of when you understand a simple structure and then you know what to plug into each of those, it just makes it a lot more manageable. But I think the biggest thing, guys, we don't realize is that anything you see on social media, specifically on your feed, is what the algorithm is pushing at you. So mine's full of like puppy food and puppy toys and why? Because I've been talking about puppies and your phones listen. It's weird, but they do. Your Alexa also listens. Anything you put on any of your devices and any of your searches, it's called geo-tracking, and they will, like my husband looked up something on his computer and 5 minutes later he had an ad for it. He's like, why do they know all my stuff? And I'm like, because they're stalkers too. There's keywords and key sites and they have links, that you can use it to your advantage, right? If you know who to talk to and you know I will tell you guys that of everything today, it's the connection piece that makes the difference. It's learning how to be a person. And I think John and I were talking earlier about AI. I think AI sometimes it's making a lot of people lazy. And people are thinking, oh, that's the solution. AI is not the replacement for the human. You still need to be the human, be the person. People connect with people first. And this is a quote I heard, and I'll end with this. I heard a quote this past weekend on a boot camp I attended. It said, everybody communicates, but very few people connect. And connection is what creates conversions. So thank you, John, for having me here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time. I hope this was helpful and gave you a couple things to think about.